Three, two, one. Okay, perfect. Hello, CD. How you doing?
What's up? How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Good. We were just talking about like technical problems, weren't we? And how they can be so fun. But we've got everything sorted now, so that's really exciting.
Well, I mean, how long has it been since we've been trying to do this? I mean,
this is our third show, isn't it?
So how you been, man? What have you been up to?
Just kind of like we're doing a lot of brainstorming at WIP at the moment, man. Because we're just like, yeah, we're just sort of, the pace is being picked up, and we're really kind of thinking about like certain decisions to make. And we're like, oh, like there's a lot of fun stuff happening though. Like, like things are snowballing, and we're all just like along for the crazy ride.
Well, yeah. I've got 104-degree temperatures in Washington State.
That you do.
There's a snowball. There's a snowball happening.
Yeah, man.
We speak towards that or talk about that.
A snowball of fire in your case.
Oh
Of
well.
heat, heat. Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah, a big snowball in the sky.
Well, I was just talking to somebody earlier about the concept of the philosophical heap, right? And how the heap is like a philosophical concept. You got a bunch of particulates amassed to a thing, and you form and right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I like that concept. The heap is cool, but I'd rather talk about heat. Because heat, it's relative in a way that a heat isn't.
Yeah, I found I remember that discussion, and I found it quite because there were these people sort of talking about like, oh, it's so fascinating, and I found it rather. I was with Robbie on it. I found it like fairly dull. I found your sort of you obviously went completely out of the box, and you used it as like a metaphor to talk about this whole other thing, which I thought was really cool. And it was like, and I was all for that as well.
Well, he was limited by experience. I'm like, and arguably, if you're just going to analyze a heap by every single piece that goes into the heap, and you try to keep equating the heap back to this one little piece of the heap, then you're just trying to say the heap is the same thing as the particle, which is kind of what quantum physics is about. This is kind of Dylan stuff, right?
Right.
Right. I'm looking up at my monitor. I'm not looking at the sky. I kind of look at. I'm like, see these like look at the sky, but I got my camera over here. So, I'm like, oh, this guy's space today. I'm just gonna look over here the whole time I'm talking to you.
Well, you got like a nice double monitor, don't you? I've only got the single monitor at the moment.
Yeah, no, I got my. It makes it easier for me to look at when like actually, when I'm gaming or whatever. Instead of like squinting, crushed over my laptop.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I kind of prefer the I prefer the single laptop as opposed to the computer, because it gives me more freedom. It's like, oh, I want to go here today. I want to go here today. I don't know, like if I wanted to just like get a one-way coach ticket to Ireland and then live in the Irish countryside for a month or whatever, I could just bring my laptop and work. Those sort of things. Yeah.
I don't, like I bought this laptop just this last year, and I don't want to take it out of the house. It's basically my tower. I didn't buy a tower. But if I bought another, I could travel with this, but I would rather just leave it at the fucking house. I don't want to like wreck it. It's just it's there, and so I have a huge problem with not really caring for material items very well.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, I'm 46 years old and I don't own much.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone should be. So no. I often try and like get rid of half of my stuff like every year. I don't always do it. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I would be such a hoarder. I would keep like old college texts, you know, like literally like GCSE like documents. I'd be like, oh, I might need it one day. You know, like that's, and my mum was just like, you got to fucking throw that out, man. That's fucking crazy.
Well,
like,
you know, it's weird because we have a whole culture of collecting, like collect, you know, just
exactly.
all the time, you know, and you know, I'm dealing with that with my mom and her property, and like we were throwing away these like iron steel crates that they used to put milk when they used to do milk deliveries out here.
Yeah.
And they used to have and they're collectible. My mom's like, they're collectible. You know, they're old 1950s milk thing, you know. And, you know, like we brought a bunch of metal to the recycling stuff because we're just trying to clear the yard today, right? And she was like, no, we can sell those online because they're antiques. And they're like, well, how much? Like, we can sell it at just recycle it. Let's just get this fucking shit out of our yard. It's just some random thing that should attach some type of emotional, nostalgic value to.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm not trying to like tell my mom she's wrong in doing that. But it highly affects her.
Yep.
You know, for me to like go, oh, you know, let's just get rid of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to get rid of it too. But when it comes down to actually get rid of it, she's like, you know, and that psychology is prevalent. Like over here in America, I don't know this, but I don't know if you know this, but like people have storage units full of stuff.
Yeah.
And they pay every month to keep the storage units full of stuff.
Yeah. And they won't even use it. It's just like, I own this. This is mine.
It's weird, you know. It's crazy, you know. And it's like back in the '60s, you know, they were like commodity this and commodity that, and commodity fetishism and like consumerism and blah blah blah. It's a huge issue. But like now we're fully involved with it. We're gonna save every single little piece of plastic thing. Fucking plastic thing. And try to hold on to it like it's like, you know, because it's nostalgic, I guess, maybe. You know, I mean, I that human experience is important. You know, like we need that stability in our lives. We want, you know, but like at a certain point, we have to like let go of that stuff to have space in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to ask to I'm going to try and discipline this a little bit.
Good.
I basically want to sort of get people, and I've been talking to you about a year now, I'd say, and I just suppose people will be wondering who you are and what your interests are, and all the rest of that, I suppose, and that would be kind of saying hello, and it would kind of be the sort of thing where I'd be like, all right, what are your sort of interests at the moment, and like, you know, who you are. Let's see, I'm just going to show them. So yeah, because you sort of explore, you go, you're like your interests are very sparse and very varied, and from like yogic to yogicism to like mysticism to, and then all the other way, you know, like we were talking about simphood a couple of days ago, and then also like postmodernism and stuff, and all the rest of that, and I find and it's fascinating because you have a. And I sort of call you a modern shaman in this title because you're very explorative in your concepts and stuff. Not to mention that you look the part and all the rest of it. You got the huge Gandalf beard and no doubt, you know,
I got the Fallout hat.
Yeah.
I got the D20 wrecking the cop car.
I mean, yeah. The only difference I'd say is, like, you know, I suppose you're less shamanistic with substances, well, that as well, but maybe more shamanistic with kind of ideas and where to go from that and all of that sort of stuff. So like,
well, I mean, I was just discussing earlier with somebody. We were talking about the intersection of capitalism and postmodernism.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, like the deconstruction of like inherent value, intrinsic value, and into like a meta framework where everything is, like about and it was also about democracy too, and choice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It becomes crazy and weird because we're dealing with this post-enlightenment thing right now, right? Where
right.
when we talk about like post-truth, like a couple years ago it was like this meme, like we're like, oh no, there's no more truth. It was more like we're dealing with post-enlightenment.
Yeah. See you later, enjoy the nice.
What are we going to do after the Enlightenment? Which is very associated with post-colonialism, postmodernism, things like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, and it's not that you don't. Yeah, and the thing is that like when the fact that we're doing this segment, I think we couldn't close the door properly. I've got it. Okay. The thing about now
we're on to this post-capitalism too, right? Now we're on to post-capitalism. How do we talk about post-capitalism?
Right, absolutely. Have a good night. And that's the thing. I mean, like, that's it. I mean, the thing is, these are some of like a lot of ideas that I've heard from you, and it's not that you write a hell of a lot. I think it's just been me and Dylan that have kind of been like really kind of being like, you should write a book, and your obvious response has been kind of reasonable. You've been like, I'm not, you said on Saturday, it's like, I am the book, read me, and I love that. I actually love that, and it was this kind of like, it was funny.
The problem is I'm constantly taking in things, and I'm not reading books. I'm using a lot of modern media to that interface, but I don't want to speak over other people's ideas. No. But I know other ideas exist, like somebody like Mark Fisher, post-capitalism. Mark Fisher. I've never read Mark Fisher, but I know a lot of his ideas. I understand them and what he was talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm getting a little feedback. I can hear the feedback.
Oh, okay. From me.
No, I don't know. Maybe my computer's doing something. Maybe I don't know.
That's okay. I think I'll turn it down a bit because I'm unplugged at the moment.
I was getting my voice, but
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, and no doubt, other people will have different ideas. But the thing is that when I was writing the book, I was so afraid that like me writing a book would imply that everyone would just be shot down. Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This is flawed. He hasn't read this. He hasn't read this. And if anything, with WIP publishing, I've sort of realized we know it's almost a complete opposite ethos here, because we just sort of like, no, people should bloody write. People should be allowed. People should be allowed to express themselves and what and in whatever way. And this, and this weird sort of elitist limitation on who can speak about what nonsense.
I'm a physicalist in a lot of ways. I'm a martial artist. I'm a worker, a labor. I'm intelligent. Like I grew up in a survivalist culture. I'm like, if you don't have the practical skills, you're not able to live per se, right?
Yeah.
And and it's not that I can't leap to the academic. I want to make sure that I can actually talk to these two halves of myself in a lot of ways. And it even speaks to a lot of the idea that like I'm from Alaska, but I'm also living in Seattle. Like I have these like things where I grew up in the forest, this wild side, and then there's like city side of CD.
Yeah.
I was arrested at like 13 and thrown into juvenile hall in Seattle, but it was because I was like kind of a wild child coming out of Alaska and acting out basically a lot of ways. And I was super smart too. I was smart. I was already 12th grade English, 12th first year college at least, second year college of English and math and all this other shit. So it was really like it was crazy and weird for me, because I was 6'4". I was kind of an asshole too. So I've worked backwards along the ways throughout that stuff. When you're talking about the yoga stuff and all that stuff, it really goes back to when I was a kid, and You want me to tell you the real story, like one with the hard story? I'll tell you the real story.
I'm listening.
When I was like 5, I had a God experience when I was 5. I had a mystical God experience when I was 5. I climbed the tree. I climbed a tree when I was a child, and small tree, the type of tree that a child could climb. I couldn't climb the same tree. It was, different, but it was a big tree to me when I was a kid. But I was up there and I was singing, and I was aware of this world, this hyper aware of this world, this mystical world. This like, I wasn't really able to talk about it much later until I had psychedelic experiences, maybe.
Yep.
Or and other things. But when that shaped my paradigm, because I had a relationship with like a concept of God, until I was like, as far as Christian God specifically, right? When I was like 12 and 13, I realized that if God, like if God accepts me for who I am, I can study other philosophies and religions and other things and still come back to Him, per se. Right? Come back to God, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of an atheist now, per se, or an agnostic, but I've had the mystical experience, right? And you could be like, well, but but regardless, when I actually had that experience, it helped me to like. I started studying. I was already studying martial arts because I was interested in fighting. I was a fighter.
Yeah.
I've always been a fighter. But like then I started studying martial arts, and I started getting into like Zen. Like remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? That kind of like influenced me a little bit. Superhero culture.
Yeah.
Okay, and this back in the '80s. And I started like wanting to like understand the world beyond just. But I was always science minded. That's the thing, is I've never put science aside.
Yeah, but science aside, as you said.
Yeah, well, science. Yeah, I've always been like interested in natural science. Whatever that means. It wasn't like studying the world, just looking at the world. And I got arrested when I was 13, and I went to counseling. And around that same time, I really got into. I was doing acid. I was 13 and 14 a lot of time.
Wait, how old?
13 and 14.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like that should be yeah.
I wasn't a virgin, by the way. I was already like sexually developed at like 13, 14. I was a man at 13 and 14, an adult. And it sucks because I did a lot of fucked up shit since then. Since I knew I was already an adult, right? Because I was already like a male in the world. I thought I knew the world. This is back in the '80s and early like, just being a fucking. And I wasn't the same of all the other dickheads, but I was still a dickhead. Literally literally a dickhead.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, I was also studying metaphysics and martial arts. I was studying Eastern Buddhism, Zen. I almost became a Hare Krishna monk actually at one point in time.
Really?
I was studying, yeah.
Zen, Eastern philosophy. Almost became okay.
But I was always a child of the world, where I was a video game head from like one of my first loves when I was like 5. I'm not no joke, was video games. I like literally like a friend of mine had an Atari up the street, like a block.
Yeah.
And I broke into the house when nobody was home, just so I could play the video game, the Atari.
I can ask how old you were then.
What's that?
How old were you when you broke into the guy's house to play the Atari?
I was 6.
Okay.
I was 6.
All right. Sure. Okay, that's awesome. That's like There's already quite a very interesting story there. I
Oh
suppose.
no, I was shoplifting when I was
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't really stop shoplifting until I was 18.
Yeah. 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 Sure. Yeah. It wasn't. That wasn't to say I was. Okay. Sure.
I stole mostly books in high school, like, and I stole some video games, but like books for like, I stole so many books.
Do you remember what books you stole? Any of them?
A lot of Dungeons and Dragons books, a
Okay.
lot of gaming books. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd.
Cool. All right. All right.
Yeah, that's
I suppose this would lead me to sort of more, because I'm going to try and structure this a bit, and I feel bad doing that, but I feel.
well. I mean, we're just like you asked me about myself, and I'm like trying.
No. I'm not taking away from that. I'm just saying. I want to. I'm just wondering if we were to put this in the context of perhaps you sort of managing to sort of grow a book and forging a piece of text that would, people could just read again and again for forever, I suppose, which is what the nice part about books or whatever.
Yeah.
The question would be,
where do you start?
huh?
Where do you start?
That's not the problem.
Okay.
We're already starting, in my opinion. My question is, this is a lovely little autobiography at the moment, and I suppose when I wrote my book, I made the prologue about my story. I suppose I sort of turned my story into a few pages or whatever, and then said this is what led me to write this book. I suppose I could ask you whether you want to do something similar. If there was this kind of this kind of thing in your head that I really would like to sort of have a book. I suppose what I'm wondering is, like, this could be kind of the introduction, where what you said here could be the introduction where it leads you to the ammunition, the ammunition that leads you to go, now I'm going to talk about my ideas almost from what I've learned. And I know, and speaking like purely ethnographically, I'm an individual, see the individual who has experienced these things and had these interests, both from postmodernism to Zen Buddhism to martial arts, and how these kinds of concepts together can form a very unique and probably important perspective.
Right.
And I'm obviously not. I'm obviously, like, I know. Yeah, I know it's just forcing, but like, I don't want to make you do something you don't want to do.
No. I don't. I actually don't think. And the thing is that I know I have something to say.
I know you do.
I know.
I mean,
it's not that I don't. It's my world has been a huge conflict with me. Like, trying to. I mean, I've had a lot of stuff that happened the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of turmoil and things like that, and and being able to actually have a situation. I'm currently really in a pretty balanced situation around here, besides my fucking weird ass family. But yes, and I definitely. I mean, I haven't been able to find time to read in like 2 years, a year and a half. Like, I have to read a book.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I haven't spent time haven't had the time. I got Facebook, I got fucking internet. I've been reading. I do, research and stuff. A lot of it's switched. Yeah. I've lost a lot of peace in my life, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to rediscover the peace, I guess.
Yeah.
So I can be able to do something intellectually.
I don't think that like not reading for a long time is necessarily indicative that you're lacking in something. I found that I wasn't reading much because I wanted to write. I wanted to say my opinions. I didn't reading other people's opinions obviously was helpful, but I was like, no, I've got something here already. It's
because of the critical race theory and a lot of modern perspectives about gender theory and all these other things. I almost feel like I'm more able in anarchism and communism. I'm almost feel like, yes, I actually can have more to say now. I feel like the environment is more ripe in that way for me to actually have more of a voice to say about my, about my own anecdotal experiences, but also like, just how not like not like, I mean, even the idea of ableism, you know what ableism is, right? Okay. We're smart. You're smart. We don't want to be like, I'm not, ableism is a huge problem in philosophy.
Yeah.
Intellectual ableism is a huge problem. When you talk about the GOP or anybody, they're just dumb. They're stupid. They're just, almost, forgive my language, retarded.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been trying to like figure out how to not use those terminologies, make sure I can I'm aware of my own ableism, my own biasing, my own bigotry, and how I can even by a simple statement can be shutting off and not being able to really communicate. And I really don't know how I can do that without going, I am non-binary as a gender.
Do you think that?
And it's nothing associated with esoteric and yogic philosophy and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
And so the concept of the non-binary is not a new thing, right?
Absolutely. I like it when Zizek says that transgenderism is not that revolutionary. I guess I quite like that, and I don't think it really. I don't think it.
And Zizek's in his own little bubble, academic bubble, in his own cultural bubble. He's a white male, and anything he says it can be framed a certain way, interpreted a certain way. And Zizek's fucking awesome. I love Zizek. I definitely identify with Zizek. I'd love to have a chat with the bastard. Yeah,
I'd love to shoot the shit with him. I would love to shoot the shit with him.
But he doesn't like being put on, on the point, and like when the Zizek, when I watched the Zizek debate versus Jordan Peterson, it was like you saw a different side of Zizek.
Yeah, he was quite he was very combative. I don't know. He was very interesting. In his introductory talk, he was very kind of brutal. Kind of left Jordan Peterson not knowing how to respond, and that was. And I obviously did that on purpose. But
you'd see fucking Zizek while Jordan Peterson's speaking. Zizek would be over here in space, be like looking over, just
right.
it's like, and that's Zizek is a slime king. He's the raccoon god, right? In philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Blah. In the meme sense, right? We can use meme because I'm talking to you. You're like 20 or whatever. We can use meme.
I'm 6 years old.
We're allowed to use memes around here, right?
Let me just find. Okay, I'm going to just excuse me. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to put it up on the thing, and it's going to be. So which one do I want to do? Let's just do that. Yeah, let's just share the screen like that. So here it is, sharing the screen. We'll put that in there. I'll put that to the stream. Let's hope it doesn't destroy my computer. Okay, so it's up. You can see all that. You can see the vortex. Yeah. And then here I've come up with a bit of notes, basically from what you just said. So we got that kind of stuff here. So So obviously, this like if it was my direction, I would definitely say that this stuff would make a very good introduction to what you wanted to talk about. Perhaps it can segue.
Yeah.
Perhaps it could segue into a you know, more kind of fundamental themes. So here I've got a nice MS Paint alternative. It's really going to crash my computer if I keep doing this. But like, so here we can come up with some like general themes. So I'll just, my gosh, this computer.
As long as we
Okay.
do the axioms, for God's sakes, don't make us do any axioms.
No. These are just themes. They're not even chapter names. They're just things that we should, things that I think, or we think, or you think, should definitely have some role in whatever we're going to be creating here. So, so here we have themes, and obviously that's written terribly, and my computer's going so slowly. But there's definitely, you know, so we so on one end we have kind of I don't know, like Western. God, can we just can we start like this? We'll do like this. Okay.
Western metaphysics, Western ontology.
Yeah, exactly. Western metaphysics.
Western epistemology, Western aesthetics.
Yeah, exactly. Western physics and ontology, history of Western thought. And then we have that here, and then perhaps we'll make that a bit bigger. I haven't used this alternative before, so we'll just put that. We'll put that here. We'll get that down here. Western thought. So we have that here.
We have the ontology, epistemology, and aesthetic, because the West, like, that's like a thing, right? And then you got the Eastern thing, right? And then and these things are prevalent in philosophy. When you're talking about like the separation between Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy, when did it happen? Is there a real separation? You know, I would argue no. It's only racism that actually separates those two.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thing to say. That's an interesting thing to say. Like that's very interesting. So I used to put that somewhere, maybe a little easier, write it easier. You know, the difference between Eastern and Western thought is racism. This is the kind of thing I think, and I'm going to write this in here. I'm going to write this here in somewhere. I'm going to maybe put that here in like a sort of green. I'm just going to say, I think a big thing with you is your thought process is shamanic. I'm not saying that you are like, so I'm going to be like shamanic thinking here. So perhaps I'll put that here in text. And I think one of the big principles behind what you think, how you think, shamanic thought, the lines are blurry, and we should be explorative rather than principled or certain. We'll just do that for now. And it's both in the way that you speak and what you speak about. And what do you think?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I saw the term that said exploitative. There's that one, the exploitative part. You know.
So you know, martial arts and yoga are no separate. So separate, not are not separate to
as well as dance.
Kantianism. Like I would see that some Kantianism. Why insist otherings? I'll do that.
Othering, yeah.
Otherings, whatever. You know what I mean by that, yeah.
Well, you know, I like the word other, ings, or the other, and how it happens. The other. You know, a lot of philosophers talk about that. I think that you know, like you think about like Call of Cthulhu and the other. Literature.
Or much more lived. Inclusive of practice and body, I suppose you could say, and body. And there's a lovely thing that you said. You said the ontology, Eastern ontology is impermanence and Western ontology is permanence. Love that. I love that as well. So I'm going to put that here, and I know it's slightly disorganized, but I'll put like real points here, but I want to make the mind map as well, so we kind of have a kind of like, you know, because we don't think linearly, we think like a tree.
I like your your use of the chalkboard. I almost want a whiteboard sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think
Ethan ontology is.
That was one thing. That was what I was learning in college. That's one of the things I was like. Communication was my minor. And,
yes.
You know, communication's the shit. You know, and we use all this.
Absolutely. We can talk about maybe practical, and then we can say like maybe a bit lower here. We can sort of like
somatic and semantic. Oh,
there we go. You read my mind. You read my mind. Somatic over semantic. Other stuff like that. Martial. You know, and then the martial arts and stuff. And we also have kind of perhaps
I've said dance a couple times, but you haven't included in the script.
Say it.
Dance.
Yeah. Semantic martial arts.
Yeah. Dance is not separate from martial arts.
Dance is not even separate from martial arts. Yeah, absolutely. And I did want to say that again, so thanks for reminding me.
It all has also to do with performatism. And performatism it says, oh, I mean, even think about like in the combative sense, this person wins, that person doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
They did this performance, the other person didn't do this.
Right. Wins and losses might again be, would you say again be Western projection, because you can't lose in a dance.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lose in a dance. Yeah. Okay. Do we want to mention anything else here? I want to sort of bring in the kind of, you know, your sort of unabridged leftism, which I think is very important to who you are and the way you think. We were talking about like simpism, simpism, yes, the other day and stuff, you know.
Or the cult, the cuck, you know. The cuck.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, well, you know, like there's the idea of the bleeding heart.
Yes.
As being weak.
Yes.
But Jesus bled his heart forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really weak. And then, you know, I throw the Jesus thing in because, you know, I'm a metaphysician. Like I said, I've had, you know, Christian metaphysics in my background. Yeah. But, you know, like, you know, the idea of the Christ is the bleeding heart. Like the idea of Loki being tortured or even Zeus, Prometheus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, the bleeding heart.
Yeah.
As being weak. Yeah. There's a mythology of weakness. You know, like these guys and their failures. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Diogenes was like, I'm a failure. So what? I'm still pushing this fucking rock up the hill. Confine me to hell. Yeah. Whatever. And Diogenes, the Diogenes myth is an actual myth.
You mean Sisyphus, by the way? Sorry,
yes. Yeah. The Diogenes pushed his clay pot up the hill, right?
Oh,
he did. He did performatively. He was like, "I'm going to perform the Sisyphean myth for y'all." Yeah. What was he doing? He was that was in court. That was his somatic philosophy.
Yeah. Okay.
Diogenes was a somatic philosopher.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I'm going to make this a bit smaller so we can be a little bit more, we have more space, because we're going to run out of things very quickly just on the mind map. But because I want this sort of the diagram here to be a bit more kind of like a map of what the book could look like, as opposed to just single points. But it's another way we build the lines.
I like what I really like what you're helping me with, dude. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's purely selfish, CD. Don't worry.
hey, man. You know, as long as I can like participate in something, I don't fucking care. I'm a whore.
I was joking.
I think we began this conversation earlier before the mic was on. I said I was a whore.
Yes, that's right. a whore of ideas. Well, you're a whore with ideas. You can't sleep with just one. You gotta sleep with them all.
Well, you know, well, I mean, they say empty your cup. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just an empty cup, you know, give it to me. Or I'm just going to overspill. If you give it to me,
I gotta write that down. You know, like you know, Zenism to empty your cup. Cup is empty. Fill me. Fill me. Said the shaman whore. I don't know. I'm just gonna put that down as like a little thing. You know, but like, you know, I want to sort of, yeah, perhaps
the shaman whore. The shaman whore. Should we roll?
Yeah.
We roll. That's a little edgy.
I mean, I like it though. I'm actually going to expand here, and I'm going to put a little thing here. This doesn't have to be so. Excuse me. Sorry, it started to get very gassy. So, I think here we can have some kind of thing where we talk about styles. You know, so styles can be sort of something here, and we can also talk about. Let's have a look. We can talk about. What was I going to say? Like, I think you've done enough one-liners. You have enough sort of very funny one-liners to have them sort of riddled throughout the entire book. If the book isn't just one-liners from CD, one-liners of CDs are hilarious. Empty cup to I'm a book, read me. I'm a book, read, yeah. So one-liners, whole lots of one-liners, or what of one-liners, if not the entire book. And I'll put that, and I'll make it a little less. I'll make it bold, not bold, so you can still do that.
Are you familiar with Chuang Tzu?
Yeah, the war, Art of War guy. Yeah.
No.
Oh,
no.
Sorry. Who?
No. Chuang Tzu is a.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's a Taoist philosopher. And he was kind of like, he's like very similar to Camus.
Okay.
He's kind of an absurdist. Okay. And he came after Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was the guy that was Tao Te Ching.
Yep.
Okay. And in the history of Taoism, Chuang Tzu came later, right?
Yep.
But Chuang Tzu, what made Chuang Tzu famous, one of his famous things is, I do not know whether I am a man dreaming I'm a butterfly,
Okay.
or I'm a butterfly dreaming I'm a man.
Yeah.
That's a very famous Chuang Tzu quote.
Yeah.
What's
his name?
Chuang Tzu. It's CHUANG. This like TZU. Yes.
Yeah. I got it. Okay. Yeah. So Easternism, modern Westerns can move. Yeah. So these. So they will do that here, and then as a result, I'm probably putting the third point to sort of be like, this book isn't A, B, C. It's a web of convergences. I'll just put that for a while. There we go. Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure, because I want, it's important to get as many ideas as you want to be relevant for this project at the same time, and these are all brilliant. I just want to sort of see if we can possibly talk about leftism for a while, because it's undeniably part of your thinking. It's like it's inseparable, I should say. Leftism, and so possibly we could just do something here, like from simpism, I'll put cuckology. That's a bit funny. From cuckology to ableism, to
statism to statism.
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 Yeah. Okay, lovely. And then we can briefly maybe put something down, like, I mean, if you were to have, and again, I'm boxing you in.
If you're gonna you want to drag out my leftism.
Well, I just want you to have these things going around.
Well,
I haven't got like a
well,
complete.
it becomes weird because I've never really had the philosophical discussion about the state and what a state is in the full way I'd like to.
Yeah.
Because how do we discuss what a state is and what I mean, there's so many metaphors and words and what I mean philosophically, even physics states. What is a state of matter?
Yeah.
What is a state? You know, and so I'm trying to I've been working on trying to an ability to talk about it. You know, I don't want to just do it through a book because I can't because I want to be able to make sure I'm not being dumb about it sometimes.
I understand.
And, you know, and and then that's part of my attraction to philosophy is even the idea of the state and its association with the idea of the form itself, right? The idea of the human.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't talk about human rights without talking about the human.
Yep.
Okay, so and arguably that's a conversation that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so it's hard because I don't want to talk over anybody about it. I have my own concepts about how the state is associated with time, or concept of time.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Versus and even my critique of Marx. Marxism. I mean, I can't get too deep about it, but dialectical materialism and stuff. What is dialectical materialism talking about?
Yeah.
They're talking about a progress of history, oppression, and then some subversion, and then oppression, the subversion, and through that through it's very Platonic concept of discourse, philosophical discourse, and how we have philosophical discourse, and it plays into the concept of democracy. So I mean, these are a lot of abstract concepts, and I'm just a child in these things, but I'm trying to understand how these discourse, democracy, and even experimentalism and science are related, right? And arguably, it's just what we might call cognition, right? Nowadays, or the cognitive framework, right? And but there's cognitive psychology. We start talking about bias, right? And how bias emerges, into different forms of tribalism, and bigotry and hate, ultimately, right? And how in science we we can arrive at about facts about the world through science, the scientific procedure, right? But we're also arriving at biases in our experiment,
How they can be,
including in our experiment, right? And we're doing that right now with the concept of I just had a conversation earlier to somebody on an anarchist platform on Facebook, right? There's an anarchist group. These fucking fascists. I'm sorry, but anyways, they they insist on this genetic essentialism. Okay, and that the gene says you ought to behave as X. And that genetic essentialism is a real thing that's happening in our culture right now. When they see you're a male and you're a female, that's essential genetic essentialism. But that's all been fucking annihilated through epigenetics. How the gene is expressed. but we're just not really going to talk about that, even though like the idea of the COVID virus is trying to talk about viral stuff. I'm getting real crazy and weird about it. And I would argue that the proper framework is to understand that we need that ontology of change, not permanence.
Yeah.
The idea that that virus says that we're always changing. Through our relationship with the world, we're getting viruses into our system, which fucking change us literally. And those are genetic, physical viruses. But there's also like, you know, cultural viruses, mimetic viruses. Stephen, you know, or, Hawkins or whatever his name. No, what's Dawkins, whatever it is.
Oh, for God's sake! Yeah. You know my opinions on them. I think we have very we have a kind of similar. Yeah.
I don't like him either, but you know, but he was like, and the concept of the meme is not a new thing. They already long discussed that within fucking language and stuff, and postmodernism was already discussing that shit. You know, like Dawkins, like the meme was not a new thing. They were discussing symbols a long time ago in linguistics.
Yeah.
The meme, you know, I mean, the more particular you become about something, the more fuzzy this stuff becomes.
Yeah.
You know, and you've seen that like regression of the meme where like, well, like the language meme, where you get more particular the language, the fuzzier the picture gets.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that all plays into, you know, and it's all language, you know, stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of like philosophy, like you talk about Wittgenstein, right?
Yeah.
Wittgenstein was saying you got this image of the duck.
Yep.
Or the bunny.
Yeah.
Right? That's the meme. He was already talking about the fucking meme a long time ago in philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm arguing against that whole but now the meme has now become what we call an NFT, right?
Yeah.
And somebody like Baudrillard was already talking about that. Semiotics, you know, like the reproduction of the meme is the only thing that becomes what's valuable.
Yeah.
If I drive a Lamborghini down the street, the value isn't really just in the car or the money I spent on it. It's the value is in the image of me driving the Lamborghini down the street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because like it's interesting because like I see NFTs as a direct response to that, and in terms of how it can be used as a leveraging tool to basically just like give people no autonomy. You know,
I'm not really arguing against the concept of NFT as well.
No. I know you're not.
I just think I like, and right now we're fighting with net neutrality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, the concept of, you know, my biggest problem is privatization.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think NFTs certainly have kind of like maybe deeper problems in terms of like, sort of like kind of like, you know, we can have sort of a big discussion of the human spirit, like why should things be owned anyway? But like this, I see it as a direct response and a way to actually like really help people practically. And there is a great philosophical thing as well. I think there could be sort of, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it will directly help people, and I think it's important to actually, like, especially in the artist world, you know, like acknowledge what your personal art is not it's non-fungible.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good as well. Yeah,
you know that's the whole concept. You know, and it's a way to break down the capitalist framework of art. You know, in a lot of ways, where like the art is really but at the same time it has problems. When you get in the postmodern literative sense of how the author, not necessarily just the author, but the ownership of the property determines the outcome of every reification of the property.
Yeah.
Or reproduction, not necessarily, because a reification is different than reproduction, and that's not exactly, you know, the same. Yeah. But the fact that you can claim ownership of the reification itself of that narrative. Like you can own even the fact you can own a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not the NFT's fault. It's more of a philosophical problem, right? You know, and you know, the idea that you know, like at this point in time, we don't really acknowledge the narrative as being part of the truth.
Yeah.
We think truth value. I mean, again, this is philosophy. I'm leaving
Very Zizek, but go on. Yeah, go.
leaving to the philosophy where like the truth narrative, like where all the like where philosophy is a project of truth.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, and that whole concept is problematic.
It's hugely problematic.
You know, you're not able to actually, you know, like philosophy is like, well, what about lies? I mean, that would be a real philosophical question: is well, what about lies?
Yeah.
You know, because lies exist, like, and arguably, like, and that's what the Greek philosophers are like. The fucking sophists. It's those sophist guys. And nowadays we have a word called sophistication, right? And it's directly related with the word sophism.
Yeah.
And the more sophisticated you are, the less real you are. Are you listening to me? This is a leap. It's a leap forward.
Yeah. I'm writing notes at the moment. That's what I love. I love what you said about the transition from sophist to sophistication, and I also want to kind of put like, you know, roots of words here, roots of words as roots of words, sophist and sophistication. That's fascinating, you know, like, and well, it's funny because Plato. It's really funny when, you know, was it Plato that was against poetry? It was, wasn't it? He didn't like poetry.
Yeah. The poet. Every poet is a sophist, and I'm a poet.
Yeah, for sure. No, I want to put. I do want to put like, you know, poetry is essential to this project. Okay, and I'm listening to you. I'm just really brainstorming. I want to try and
well, it gets into like, I mean, we can totally jump frameworks and get into the gaming world frameworks and the modern concept of the virtual world.
Yeah.
Okay. So the state is an imaginary entity. It's a virtual body.
Yep. I wrote yeah, this is good. I wrote some stuff about the state. What is the state? Thematic and ontological concern, a state of being, a form. And I also mentioned on all violence is state violence. And then you just said the state is, what was it again?
The state is a virtual imaginary concept. It's a virtual concept.
Thank you. Okay.
Fictional. It's fictional.
Yeah. It's dramaturgical. Yeah. And yeah. And I'll put that.
It's sophist. The fucking sophist, right?
Yeah.
Politics, you know. And you can't escape it. I'm not saying you can escape the stage. Yeah. You can't escape the stage.
Yeah.
That's the Zen.
Yeah.
That's the actor. That's why acting and drama and theater and stuff is directly associated with this stuff that we're talking about. And like, you know, like that's why you get weird people like fucking Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Because drama theory is directly associated with this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And politics too, right? Obviously just politics. When you go like, oh, fucking Hollywood's, you know, yeah, because Hollywood is similar to politics.
Yeah.
It's drama.
Yeah.
You know,
I've got so many of these. It's so hard to keep up.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying these are lies. These aren't lies.
Yeah.
These aren't. Like, these actually have real world effects.
Yeah.
But they're effectual, which would say affectual, not effectual. They're effectual.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge thing that like in philosophy, like for whatever reason, they focused on effect. What is effectual versus the affect, which is more of a human thing. Humans are affect. We're not effect.
Yeah.
We're like, I mean, chemistry, is in the world, like, but
Yeah.
we live in a different world. We have compassion and affection. I mean, we're animals.
Yeah.
We don't know the chemical world in the way that a fucking
Oh man.
a lightning bolt does.
Well, why did I not bring this up? Yeah, primitivism. Primitivism. It's so. This is so important to your thinking as well. Primitivism. So yeah, primitivism and
technology. Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, that as well. With tech. I'll just put that in. I'm putting that leftism at the moment. So sort of, and obviously all of these things connect, and that's kind of how you think as well. I'm just trying. But my thing. But what I'm doing here.
I don't like a lot of modern primitive movements because they are a lot of neo-fascist stuff. Like humans, eco-fascism. Like humans could just be wiped out. Like what's his name? Ebola, like in Ebola, whatever his name was. Back in the 30s. Like I don't like a lot, like because a lot of the primitive stuff was taken over by the Nazis and the fascists. The language was being already back then manipulated. I'm telling you, dude, it's fucking like it's difficult to actually even talk about primitivism anymore because it becomes this eco-fascism. Like humans are, should just die.
Yeah, have become hijacked. Hijacked by fascists, but we mustn't forget its potential to be an antidote. Okay, I mean, I'm just putting that down for now because like everything you say could be could be included, and this is obviously what led me and correspondingly Dylan to be like, this man needs to write some fucking stuff. I want to, yeah, go on.
Well, I mean, I just don't like. Well, I mean, you think about like primitive societies. We call them with lesser or whatever, right? And we tell them they don't know the world. Right, but nowadays, no, who knows where the fish go every year? Who knows how the weather's changing on the North Slope? The indigenous populations that live there. These people supply hard data for how the world actually changes.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell them that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about just because they're using different languaging and ways of framing the world, a different ontology than you're using. The primitive, like the indigenous cultures use different ontology of versus the Western. Like I said, it's not just Eastern. I'm telling you, like you can find this ontology of change throughout the world. They acknowledge it. And you know what? Here's the hard take. Charles Darwin said the world change, like biology changes through the ability to mutate.
Yeah.
Change is. It's just becoming is. And Deleuze would say becoming is. Deleuze would be like becoming. I had a conversation with my brother today, and an anecdotal story, and we were talking about graffiti.
Okay.
And he, like, we're builders. We build fences. We do all sorts of stuff. And he doesn't like the fact that somebody come along and tag the fence that we built. Right? He doesn't. He thinks that's just dumb. And why would you do that? Or whatever. Right? And I was like, well, graffiti is part of like historically speaking is part of what it means to be human.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can find graffiti throughout history and time. Arguably, like you could find some human doing graffiti. They could argue that even the basis of primitive art was a type of graffiti on some bare wall or some geological wall that might have some like fossils on it or something, or whatever. You're gonna paint over it or carve into it or take the whole wall down.
Yep.
And then I was talking to him about like the yards that are built around all these suburbs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And how how are these not a type of graffiti upon the world?
Mm-hmm.
You want to demonize these people that are like spraying some words on your fence, but what about these fucking yards that are wiping out entire ecosystems?
Having a problem. Yeah. Graffiti on a fence. What of the fence unto the natural and indigenous world? I'll do that. Okay, lovely stuff. I'm going to ask. I'm certainly fading a bit because it's nearly 1 a.m. for me, which is fine. I'm happy. I'm happy to go on for as long as we can. I've got a meeting at 1:30. I am going to ask you a bit about.
Again, we're right. We're like. I mean, if we do this, like, I'm down to spend time with you, recording stuff, and work out, we can work out a schedule and make it happen. I'm not afraid to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. It can't be. It couldn't be. We couldn't do it. I don't think we can do this like every week. This couldn't be. This has to be like a.
I don't have to make promises. I'd rather do this than play D&D.
I want to just.
I'm not playing D&D.
I want to ask. Yeah, so I want to ask you just a bit of. It's going to be a tough question.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to. What should I call this? Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I'll put it as the goal for the reader, and you won't. I'm not sure you'll like the way I ask this too much, but I'll do it anyway. And the sort of the question is, how do you want the reader to change from the beginning of this hypothetical book and the end? So for example, do you want them to leave and be more informed about things? Do you want them to leave and be like, I think about things differently? Do you want them to leave and so for example, like if
I totally understand where you're coming from.
You get it. So it's basically the why. So this is the sort there's the sort of introductory beginning where you said
let's start with some negative claims, right?
Okay.
We can start some negative. Do I want to give them hope?
These are the sorts of answers that I'm wondering. Yeah.
Right. So is hope the goal? I don't know. I mean, is like get them to self-reflect, is the goal to, it's just expression.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. These exactly. These are the sorts of answers. I'm just wondering if we can sort of like turn it into a sort of way that kind of motivates you to be able to take what I've taken from you and be able to go your own way with it. It's like, you have a goal, we can be more specific. Like, I want them to question East-Western boundaries as well as all of these other boundaries of cybernetics and primitivism.
That's required for me to make like actual like claims that I'm like, I'm taking me a long time to actually make the workarounds. I mean, obviously I can talk about it, right? It becomes real weird when I like try to make, and again, that's might be the Zhuangzi influence regarding, my ability to like, I mean, I know that I have potential regarding, writing stuff.
Well, yeah.
I think a big part of it is I mean, okay, so hold on. Part of my issue in the last couple of years is I've been learning language. I've been learning all these words: ableism, statism, cuckoldry, all these terminologies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been like, I might be at some sort of peak in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like this image right here. I think we can talk about how I can come up with something like that, but I don't know if I can do it right like this second.
Well, yeah, I mean, excuse me, absolutely. What I'm sort of saying is like, I'm not.
Give me some of your notes. Send me some of your notes and stuff like that, or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm sending you all of this as soon as I'm done. You'll need this more than me. Yeah, I'm not asking for specific goals of like I want the reader to feel amazing. I want the reader to go out and pull the Empire State Building. None of that. But I'm asking sort of like if we can sort of think about ways that things that you want to tackle instead of like I want the reader.
Well, we have to make it thematic. And its themes we have to create a thematic that's part of storytelling, and it's
Exactly.
like when you write a book or any history or anything, it's always narrative driven. You have to do a narrative.
Absolutely. It is the narrative. I mean, as well as the themes, these are sort of themes of things that you can sort of muddle in. But the goal would be primarily.
And obviously, look, the styles. I'm plenty dramatic over here, so I got the drama over here. But
again, this is what I said here. Roots of words. You do this whole thing, like drama, dramatic. I love it. Please let me finish. What I wanted to say was like, as a goal, I wanted to sort of be like, think about the goal does play into structure and narrative, So and that can be sort of like I want the reader to think primarily about West-Eastern distinctions and who borrowed from who and who stole from who. I also want to think about
Oh my God!
All this sort of stuff, and yeah.
I want to supply sources, and that's where it becomes like actual work, right? And so,
trying to make it easier. The thing is, I think you do 90% of the work just from talking. To me, to unlabeled philosophy. I'd actually. I've got 10 minutes before I can have a half an hour break for my 1:30 meeting, I suppose, and I've got a couple of things to talk about with you anyway. But
we're on time. We're on your time, bro. It's fucking 1 o'clock in the morning for you, bro. You're on your.
Yeah. It's absolutely fine. I just want to catch a little bit of time before my meeting. So blah blah blah. Anything here? Okay, we're on unlabeled philosophy. I'm actually going to go through your page as well, just because you have stuff written, and my sort of one, if I can give you like a kind of why, maybe this can kind of allow you to sort of flesh out kind of narratives and because and a sort of way to get from A to B to C, because I know that's not the way you think, but that's a way a book is structured, and I think that's going to be very nice to sort of be like.
I also want to say fuck you just for what you just said to me, you son of a bitch.
What did I say?
What you just said that I know that's not the way you think.
Well, you don't think you know, but that's an insult.
Page, motherfucker. What are you doing?
I know, but that's not. No, I know you don't think from I don't really think from A to B to C. Like, but like you're the whole thing is. Yeah.
I'm gonna razz you. You're gonna run my 3 weeks through my page? Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I was going to go through and sort of to see if there's anything that you could any sort of one-liners that you've already written. And I apologize.
I post way too much for that. You know that. I post a bunch of shit. One of my most important posts that I just posted recently that I had only gotten 1 like from.
Yeah.
Was up in Alaska. Mm-hmm. The town that I come from is a place called Coffin Cove, right? Mm-hmm. A little town.
Yeah.
And the native corporations have done to the state. They propose that they give that to the state. They're going to give. They want this land back on this island, and they're going to give it to Tlingit, landless Tlingit, which is a type of native. The Tlingit is a type of native.
Yeah.
And they're going to give these landless Tlingit this land back. And I'm like, yes, right. And that's to me, that's very like, as far as the things I post on my page, I say all sorts of random shit. But that to me, that was like deep heart, like give the land back. Land back in Southeast Alaska. Do you like my new Wittgenstein thing? You saw that?
I did as well. Yeah. I like this as well. I didn't just want to snoop through your face. It was just because you said if people wanted to contact you, there was an ability to. You said your page was public, and obviously if people wanted to sort of have an investigation.
Anarchist in the sheets, communist in the streets.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, where's
I don't know if I came up with that, or if that's written anywhere, but I was like,
say it again. What was it?
Anarchists in the sheets, communists in the streets.
I see. Yeah. So yeah, organized protests, free London. Okay. No, I know the way you said it. Anarchism in the streets, communism.
Anarchist in the sheets.
Yeah, I know.
In the sheet or in the streets.
In the streets. That's right. I remember. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. So the goal for the reader would be kind of I'm just sort of like trying to wrap things up.
I'm a meme. I'm an entire meme. I'm CD is my name. Lesage is my name. I'm a meme. I was born this way. You want to talk about like metaphysics and believing in reincarnation? You want to get real deep about it, like God complex? I mean, do you really want to go how far deep went I deep in the tunnel of self-realization? You know,
not now. Always at some point when I can. But I am literally. At one point in time, I used to not believe it, but I realized or thought I was the disc of Krishna, the Sudarsana's disc that he held on one finger, and it cuts people's heads off. And he did, and he sent in a philosophical discussion. He literally Krishna cut somebody's head off with his Sudarsana disc. Yeah.
And that's all Hindu mythology and stuff. But like, because the Hindus, like they had like deep philosophical conversations. Like the idea that the West owned philosophy is fucking nonsense. It's nonsense. Like the idea of air and fire and water and air as being like out like even the Platonic sense, like Pythagorean stuff, all this stuff was already in the East. For like they were already discussing it, but that's what Buddha was like. I mean, they were working on like the concept of no self, the idea of the self as being actually without, as opposed to being like in the West, it's like no, the self is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the two, like, in terms of like ontology, it's like impermanence and permanence, and with like the self. It's all the West is always like the self is almost the most important thing that matters, and the East is like this. Let's forget about that.
It becomes real weird, and becomes real like, and when you start talking about like how China accepted communism in the form that they did, and where they're like where it all became about tradition and very Confucian stuff, Confucius stuff. And again, Confucius was already what 500 AD. Confucius was already talking about communism, like and traditionalism, and already communism is kind of a type of traditionalism, where like the old world, which is what capitalism deconstructs, is communal. We as children we were communal beings, dependent on nature and things around us to feed us and teach us, educate us, and language. Language itself is communal and it's associated with communication. Communication is communism. .
Yeah.
And like I end the book there. Communication is communism.
I want to see if you want to finish the thought before I continue. I'll do the communication is communism, and of course that plays into your again the whole roots of words and playing sophistication, drama, dramaturgical, Hollywood pop, all sorts of stuff. I wanted to before I love you dearly and leave you, I wanted to sort of ask about ask you to sort of think about in what way you would structure this if you want if this were to be like a thing that you wanted to keep doing,
well,
which I think you should as I do.
I almost feel like maybe I ought to structure it in a series of essays.
Yeah, I think that could be a very good route.
I think, and then maybe like break up, just I don't know, how we want to put this essays out, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wrote the last part by styles. I said perhaps a book of a compilation of essays. I think that could be good, and that was what that's all I meant. I said I obviously we think we think like trees. You unashamedly think like a tree. You've got all these branches and different codes and stuff. But a book is A to B to C, and that's a very interesting limitation to have. I think it's a fun limitation because I can't retain information like a tree. I have to sort of do that in some way, but in order to express it. Yeah. Anyway,
well, yeah, almost like a reader. Maybe I should really try to work on my essay stuff and just do a little bit more essay work, maybe, because I think then I can make a reader, maybe.
I think
otherwise it gets weird into tying in me and trying to tell people how to be, or some Jordan Peterson self-help shit.
Well, that's right. I know you'd never get there anyway. I know you're far too. I know you'd stop yourself immediately when you do it. I'm just thinking
that's the fucking thing that's keeping me from doing it.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That was me as well. But it was kind of like. But the thing is that it isn't really like a big jump. You're already talking in front. You're already talking on YouTube. You're already writing in philosophical groups and stuff. This is the point where it's sort of it's at a point where there isn't really a big jump to just say actually I've composed my thoughts into a book form, and perhaps a series of essays, perhaps it's bigger chapters with bigger context and I think these essays would all relate to each other. I think they would be like a family of essays. They'd all sort of fit in line with each other. But yeah, I'll leave.
I think I'm thinking about it.
No, of course.
I'm different ways I could form the book and stuff, or whatever,
Absolutely.
You know 1,000 Plateaus, Deleuze?
No, you haven't read it. I haven't really read any Deleuze, but I've.
No. Well, what's great about 1,000 Plateaus is the way they structured the book.
Okay.
They purposely structured the book as being not necessarily just as a reader, but they relate. How do they There's no, you gotta read it. It's not the same with other books. They purposely on purpose. It's psychedelic on purpose. And I don't necessarily
very cool.
Well, I don't mean to I don't want to necessarily write the book like that, but I think that I'm trying to think of how I could incorporate that experience into the book too, because we're playing narrative form, and that's part of playing into what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the psychedelic element is going to have. I mean, it's going to be no. There's no way that this is going to be separate from the kind of psychedelic attitude, I suppose. That's going to be
psychedelic is part of the shaman, right? And arguably, all these fucking goddamn kids, you all fucking high as fuck. So I mean, I mean, we have to speak towards the high.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whatever that is, you know, and like, so, you know, like Deleuze has this concept of the rhizome.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of why I think you need to like understand these concepts. Like, so the idea of intelligence as being arboreal versus rhizomatic, right?
Yeah.
Philosophy has focused on intelligence as being arboreal and is privileged in intelligence as being arboreal, which is influenced and has affected our whole world because philosophy is a huge driver. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Arborescence. You mean arborescence as well? Arborescence.
Yeah, arborescence. Yeah.
Like a tree. Like a tree. Yeah. It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't this. It's this.
Well, the idea that the tree on top, right?
Yeah.
But below the tree, what allows the whole fucking tree to exist,
Yeah.
is the rhizomatic structure. A tree doesn't exist without the fungus producing the, like, you know, it's very fungal. Slime mold. You know, playing with the concept of slime mold intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, these are radical thoughts, and I think these are associated with what anarchism is, and what even human intelligence is. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's anti-hierarchical as anarchism is. Am I sort of getting?
Well, no, anarchy isn't anti-hierarchical.
Yeah, exactly.
It's anti-unjustified hierarchy.
Okay.
Hierarchies are fine; they exist in the natural world, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
There's this and the oppression, and you know they exist, but it's the justified is what matters.
Yeah.
Why do we put this over this? Why do we favor this over that? It's epistemological, right? Justification is epistemology, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that plays into democratic form of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like cognitive offloading, democracy is the type of cognitive offloading. You know.
Yeah. These are all like.
These are all cybernetic stuff. It's very cybernetic, right? You know, and it's also transhuman. The state is a transhuman entity. It's a post-human entity. It tries to make itself a post-human entity, but it can't exist without the human. The state is a transhuman entity. We make the state whatever it wants to be. It's a virtual world. It's a virtual thing. We can make it whatever we want it to be. Mm-hmm. That's what democracy says, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be oppressive or anything like that. You know, I'm an anarchist that says that we can make the state do what we want to do, because that's what the fucking states are a bitch. It should be our bitch. Democracy is a type of anarchism.
Yeah. And this is.
I'm gonna be a politician. How about you encourage me to be a politician?
I wouldn't let you. I wouldn't let you hurt yourself.
I'm gonna take over America. I'm gonna take over South America.
Don't be a masochist. Don't become a politician. I want to just finish things up. I want to wrap things up. I want to mention. I'm going to put this share screen thing back onto our lovely little thing. And I want to say, so I've got three resources for you for this from what we've spoken about today. And I want to wrap things up in a very formal manner. These are themes. So we've got all of these sorts of things here. I'm going to make this a bit bigger just so we can sort of talk about. Oh, okay. Just we can talk about so it is a bit more kind of prominent, blah 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 blah. Go off the reader, lovely stuff. So these are the themes, Western metaphysics, ontology, Eastern philosophy. This indicates, the sort of the interaction between the two. Leftism, of course, and then we have a nice little thing about science, and then the goal of the reader. Here are some styles, and at the end here we have perhaps a compilation of essays. I'm going to rush through this, and here obviously we have your intro. I just said intro because I think it's a good intro with your sort of your backstory. And then here are some lovely points that I've put in for you. It's quite a lot. They add up quickly. And then obviously the third and last resource that we have is this video. And there's obviously, you know, and there are a lot of stuff here, as well as the 2 other podcasts we've done previously with other stuff as well.
Yes, what have you done? I almost think that you're working for the state at this point in time.
Why do you think that?
I don't know if I could trust you. I mean, the CIA is paying you. Is the you know? Are you fucking working with the Putin?
Yeah. I'm gonna make your ideas. I'm gonna make you write a book in a formal ideas, and then big corporations are going to use your ideas to enhance their corporate oppressive structures more and more.
Oh my God, another leftist.
How do you not realize this?
I mean, no, leftists being recuperated by the state. Oh my God, how predictable. How many times that has happened? I don't even know. It's not like the state can even have its own ideas. It's not like the fucking state even have its own ideas. It's just it doesn't have its own ideas. It's a fucking, it steals. You know, it just takes ideas and acts like it's their idea. And like, oh, fucking normative culture, man. Cisgender people. I want to fuck a. I don't know.
I do feel somewhat guilty for putting you through this process tonight, but
no,
at the same extent, you do. I think you appreciate what I'm doing.
You know what I love about it is the relationship aspect, Jimmy. It's not about you doing it to me. I already do that. Everything you already done, is there in my mind already.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why people.
And that's part of like why, you know, like how I could write a book, because I've already like I do all sorts of I do these breakdowns in my head all the fucking time. They're already there. These templates are already there.
I know. And that's why. That's why. You know, that's why I was like. That's why I wanted to sit down and do this.
It's you. You know, like, and Dylan too, and everybody else around me, like.
Yep.
Fuck. And arguably, I'm in a place where I could do it too. This, you know, like I don't have to pay rent. You know, and I eat because when I'm hungry, I can find food or whatever. But you know, and I got plenty of smoke, and I'm like, I think I'm not interested in women. I'm not interested in a relationship. I don't have that as a distraction. You know, maybe it took me long enough to I was 46 to be able to actually do this, or even talk about doing it.
Yeah. So you think this process has made it easier for you?
No.
I mean, no, I don't mean in life. I don't mean in terms of your piece.
I mean, you realize I have all sorts of disorders. I have executive function disorder. I mean,
executive function disorder. That's hilarious. That's a great. I mean,
I'm serious. I have my ADHD, executive function disorder, and I also have like what is the other one that's like you think somebody else, you're doing somebody else that
ADHD.
No, it's not. No, it's where you feel like you're not somebody. You're the same person that you're doing the thing. What is that? It's
depersonalization.
No. There's a whole psychological. I mean, and this is me self-analyzing myself. These aren't like psychology going, telling you that. But I see these patterns in my life. And arguably someone like you, it like helps me, like, because arguably what will help me bypass those things is relationship. And I think that like even with you and even Robbie,
we love Robbie, man. Robbie's great.
Well, a liberal philosophy, you'll see I'll drop some random shit, but I won't come back to communicate.
I mean, obviously, like I disagree with Robbie on a few things. I think his general place is really, really awesome. My question was just, do you think it's a bit? Do you think it can be a bit? Do you think it's like clearer, like before, like maybe 2 hours ago? Do you think like perhaps if you wanted to continue this book as a project, this could be this. You got a bit more light. You're a bit more illuminated. To be like, yes.
You summed up in the same way, almost like a therapist would, things for me and said, "Hey, you," and you weren't like telling me anything new per se. You were like, "These are the things, CD."
Yep. Good. That was the point. Okay, wonderful. I'm going to do like a really obnoxious outro now. So this has been okay. So I put the hashtag on Twitter. Let writers write, whatever. This has basically been like, you know, I wanted because I kind of,
just don't come near me because I want to have sex with you. Yeah.
And I'm the CIA. I would, yeah. So basically this has been a
CIA. If I could get a hold of them, I'll go with you, Jacob. Hold on.
No worries. No worries.
Jimmy, I'm gonna go with my brother to the store.
That's okay. I'll wrap things up just fine. Don't worry. Thank you so much, CD. Keep me updated. We'll talk very soon. All right. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you for your time. And
asshole. You're an asshole. And so is Dylan. Make sure you.
I know. You're thank you. Okay. Goodbye, CD. So this has been a kind of a process and experiment where we at WIP Publishing are obviously very concerned and focused on writers, and that if we were to talk about two ambitions besides, you know, the business aspects of it, it's about encouraging writers to write and then having them recognized and rewarded for the ideas and the progress they've done writing. I think above all, the idea aspect of it is the thing that gets in the way of people. People are worried about putting their books into actual into a format because they're either too insecure or like too worried or too. I mean, like me, certainly insecurity was a huge aspect of mine. Maybe insecure is the wrong word, but like just certainly just being like having the kind of caution to not get them out there. And so with, you know, with this has been a kind of a process of sort of, you know, getting individual writers and saying, like, you know, individual people who obviously have ambitions and ideas that definitely should be read by many people. And when to have CD have basically a bibliography of ideas in his head, it's mad to think of, you know, it's mad to think that this hasn't been explored and sort of provoked a bit. So this has been like a let writers write segment where, you know, we, especially me, want to get the ball rolling with people. Writers deserve all the praise they can get for creating compelling and gripping pieces of literature. And hopefully what has been with CD has been maybe a little seed that's been planted to grow into a blossoming tree, should that be an entire book or an essay or a compilation of essays. I'm excited to see where he goes with this. And I think we're going to have someone else with this 2 weeks from now, maybe, or something like that. And that's going to be really exciting as well. So this has been a sort of experiment. I think it went well. Please let me know in the comments if you'd like to come and talk to us, you know, like via our Discord, which I have in the description. If you want to talk to CD, his Facebook's there, available for people to contact him on. Contact me on my Twitter. Contact Liberate on our Twitter. And if you want to support the channel, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you want to see our project at WIP Publishing grow, please get involved in that Discord. Please, you know, please do all of that lovely stuff. And we have a TikTok, Instagram where we post general kind of stuff as well. And we have an event on Wednesday for Token Smart. There's all sorts of lovely stuff happening. Going to be streaming on that as well. It's big things are happening here. Big things are happening here. I would play you a lovely outro, but we'll do that another time. So thanks everyone for watching. You have a good week. Mondays don't have to be that bad. They can be epic sometimes. So thank you everyone. See you next time.